Let's actually bring in Major General John Wharton for more analysis on this conflict. Thank you for being with us this afternoon on a Friday. You know, the planned invasion that Israel has spoken about has exacerbated tensions between the Biden administration and Israel. But will President Biden, does he have any leeway in terms of taking any action against Israel if they move ahead?
Well, I think he has the Secretary of State working this very hard. And he, of course, there's many different meetings that are going on that aren't as public there. But part of the strategy for Israel is to move south. And the IDF has got to have that anvil as they move the hammer down. But I think the humanitarian needs and the requirements that are needed by the people in the disaster to take care of them is really preeminent. I think you have the Hamas contained, and you need to focus on humanitarian aid and assistance, else you're going to lose world opinion. So I think the leverage is world opinion for Israeli, and it's not just the United States leverage, it's world opinion on Israel to do the right thing here from that standpoint.
Do you think Israel cares about world opinion?
Well, I think that they are already adjusting that, because from the almost carpet bombing that they had, the indiscriminate bombing, to a much more precise and targeted analysis of what they're going after. And I do think they have to worry about public opinion. And I think they've already changed some of their rhetoric. Remember, in the beginning of this, they talked about eliminating Hamas. You can't eliminate an ideology. Now you're hearing, let's eliminate the leadership. So there is a leadership there, but I think there needs to be more emphasis from Israel on the concern for both the civilian populace that's been displaced and their hostages. So those are things that I think they have to worry about. So they need to be a little bit more concerned, Adrian, about world opinion.
Well, there are 1.1 million Palestinians reportedly in Rafah, fleeing there since being displaced. Do we know what's being done for those communities?
Well, there's still aid that's trying to get in, right? And we heard a lot about the fuel and different types of medical supplies trying to get in. But at the same time, you're seeing some of the assaults on, say, the Nasser hospital. So we're losing some of that ability to take care of the civilian populace. The other thing I think you have to be careful of is, as Rafah was already very congested, and now as everyone's moved south, and Israel has said, the IDF has said, you have to move out of there. Now what you're doing is you're threatening your sovereignty with the border with Egypt if that battle continues to move south. Now what you're doing is you're threatening potentially a long-lasting treaty between Israel and Egypt on the Camp David Accords. So there's much more to this in an already very congested area prior to the displacement of all the civilian population down there. Where do they go? Who's going to take care of them? What medical support? Where do they get water, food, shelter, clothing? All those are very much concerns for this environment.
But you mentioned the Nasser hospital, and isn't it true, confirmed reports that Israel has found not only terrorists inside that hospital being used as another command center, as we've seen with previous hospitals that have been bombed or have been, obviously, targeted by the IDF?
Yeah, I think there's two sides to the story here, but I think when you do these hospitals with the tunnel structures that have been under them, certainly point to using hospitals as command and control centers, communication zones, and things of that nature. We have seen weapons in there. We have seen ammunition in there underneath the hospital. So it is the balance of how do you seal off that environment, and then at the same time provide civilian care to those who need it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.